Hey, before I kick off the podcast, I just want to shout out Next Door Clothing. Next Door, a clothing brand based out of Bondi in Sydney. They're making really nice jeans and shirts and hats. So go and check out their full range at nextdoorsydney.com. They're also artists, so you can go and check out a range of art. They put on rad parties, and I love what they're doing. So nextdoorsydney.com for the full range.
I'm having a good time.
You are?
Yeah.
I can tell.
And we are rolling too.
Terrible happy talks. Terrible happy talks. Terrible happy talks. Terrible happy talks.
Do you have the thing where you don't like the sound of your voice type of thing? Or is that like a natural thing?
Dude, I live with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty much every episode, man. Every single episode. But, you know what? That's just my shit to deal with, isn't it? Today's guest is Garrett Stratford Cutler. Garrett is a leading educator at a sustainability-focused international school in Bali, Indonesia. Garrett was born and raised in New York City and studied at St. Lawrence University in upstate New York. Garrett holds a bachelor's degree in speech and theatre and English writing and a master's degree in physical education. Garrett has been an international school educator for the last 8 years, teaching in Thailand and Bali. When he's not educating sustainable change makers of the future, you will find him in the gym working on his biceps, surfing, playing basketball and dealing magic cards with his homie Jubair or anyone else that believes in magic. Garrett's... Oh, you find that funny? Funny?
We'll have to touch on that later.
Okay. Garrett's kind and approachable nature, coupled with his sense of humour and sheer dedication to quality in all that he does, makes Garrett a standout character in the community that he functions in. Adored by his students, their parents, and loved by his colleagues and friends alike, today Garrett is with me to share his experiences, challenges, and hopes for the future. Garrett Stratford Cutler, welcome.
Thanks, man. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Dude,
it's fun.
Thanks for being on, homie.
Yeah, man. It was my first podcast experience.
Really?
So, yeah. Well, except for Julian, actually, who also did a really good job. Your student, Julian.
Oh, he did one for his assignment, didn't he?
But yeah. Other than that, that's.
I listened to that, man. You know, you sounded good. Like you sounded what's the word? Authentic.
Thanks, man. I was trying too hard, I guess.
Just don't try too hard. Do you like really enjoy dealing with like teenagers or the younger students that you deal with in a school?
Yeah, that's a good question. I started my career off actually basically teaching from 5th grade all the way through senior year in high school. And that was when I was younger, right? So I was like 23, 24. So it was a pretty close kind of age gap in a smaller town. And, it's okay. I just think that for me, I connect better with the younger ones. Always have. I get more enjoyment out of it, I think. I think that's the case for a lot of educators. I think some people are just built for middle school. Some people are built for high school, primary, that type of thing. So
I've seen you with those little kids, and I really feel like there's just some magic in those environments. Like it's chaos, but it's beautiful chaos. And yeah, like compared to high school, which is still great, but it just doesn't have that magic and that excitement that those little kids have. You know, they just everything is just special for them, but I'm sure it's challenging at times. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think you have different challenges at every age level, or whether it's primary, middle, or high. For me, the challenges present to be the easiest at the elementary level or primary level. If you throw me in like middle school or high school, I'm kind of frazzled a bit and kind of less focused. Trying to be this different person with those different age groups. But with the little ones, I just feel supernatural. And I, any student that I have, whether it's, primary, middle, or high, I think the most important thing for me being an educator is building a relationship. And I think that's kind of what separates the memorable teachers from the ones that kind of, for kids, it's just separates the ones that they really remember from the ones that they don't, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So important, like that rapport building outside of the classroom, I find really integral. Because ironically, then it leads into better management of the class.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, man, like you live in Bali, like, and you're a teacher at an international school, like, can you describe to me, like, what's a day in the life? Give me a rundown from, like, what's a day in the life of Garrett? like from when you get out of bed. Like, talk us through it. I'm interested.
Sure. Well, I'll talk you through a current day, I guess. I live in one of Ibu Jackie's old house.
Which is a colleague of yours,
yeah? Yeah. A mutual colleague of ours, yeah. I wake up about 5 minutes before I have to get on the bike and go. I roll out of bed usually. Maybe about 10 or 15 minutes. Do the whole brush your teeth, pick out my Lululemon shorts and my shirt.
Are you sponsored by Lululemon?
No, the funny thing is I have 7 pairs of Lululemon shorts that I have not spent a penny for. My family's a big Lululemon family because my mom and my brother are trainers, so they get the discount,
I thought it was a female yoga apparel brand.
Well, that's what listen, man, I'm not a brand guy. You can see me. I have like all fake, I got the Adidas, I got Nike. One of my previous coworkers said to me, he's like, Gary, you got to stop mixing up the logos here. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you got an Adidas, you got a Nike. I'm like, all right, listen. I'm not in fashion here, okay? I'm trying to teach, educate today's youth. Cut me a break here.
You're a function guy.
But so I never cared, but my mom and brother were talking about it for years. Oh, you gotta. I'm like, whatever. And I look at the price tag. I'm like, yeah, right. Like, do you know what I pay for shorts over at Southeast Asia? I'm not going to touch these things. These things better wipe my ass and make me breakfast for that price. Come on, give me a break. So, anyways, long story short, they started buying them for me for birthdays and Christmas, and now I'm hooked. And Pac Dan from last year was a huge, huge advocate for. He's got like his whole wardrobe is
comfort. It's comfort.
So yeah.
You go for comfort.
Yeah. Quality, too, quality. They actually ripped a couple of these pairs, or even if, like, a stitch is out, you bring it back to any store, they'll just replace it right away. Right off the bat.
I love that. Yeah. And how do they hold up to the Bali laundromats?
Well, if they don't get lost, they're all right. If you don't swap shorts with someone down the street, you'll be all right. So you make it.
Man, I don't know how many times like I've put washing into a laundromat and it's come back dirtier than when I gave it.
Yeah.
It's the only place in the world. It's been folded, it's folded nice and even ironed.
Yeah.
It just smells bad.
Yeah, so sometimes there was one laundromat we used where it would come back they would put it in the bag a bit damp, so it would have that wet dog smell. It doesn't come out until the time you wash it again. So it's like, okay, I'm smelling like a wet dog today.
Dude, as soon as I get that smell, I just take it straight off and just go, I'm starting again.
But listen to this conversation right now. It's so funny because I always use this example when I talk about, with other people that are not living in Southeast Asia. Mm-hmm. How do you do it, man? How do you Well, life is amazing. Life is easy. The biggest stress sometimes is like if my laundry lady's closed and I have to bring my clothes the next day and they're not folded properly, or it's like back home that's not it's way more stressful than that.
Yeah,
something to be said for that.
Yeah, I must admit, I enjoy that as well. Where all those details in life that consume a lot of time, like washing your own clothes and, in our case, like cooking and cleaning, are taken care of now.
Yeah.
How does that sit with you, though?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'll tell you what, at first, when I first moved over to Thailand and really kind of got stuck in to the culture, I found, of course, it was weird. Because obviously I've actually been doing my laundry since I was like 12 years old. Sorry, Mom, because my mom was a terrible folder. She was just awful. I love her very much, and she made an attempt, of course, but her folding, I'm an impeccable folder. You're not going to find any wrinkles in my folding.
Dude, I believe it.
Not to boast, but anyways, I've always done my.
Thanks for not boasting.
Well, listen, we're brought up like our generation. I don't know about you guys, but we're brought up on doing your chores and doing your homework and doing your laundry, taking the trash out and stuff like that.
Dude, it's a rite of passage.
It's a rite of passage. Sometimes you're lucky enough to get some allowance, maybe not, but coming over here and people talking about how they have cleaners and places where you take your laundry and for like $1. It's like I was like, no, this can't be real. This is not real. But it's pretty common, obviously, in a lot of spots over here. And yeah, I don't know. I'm in two minds about it because obviously, it kind of I don't want to say it makes you lazy, but you have these things at your fingertips, but you're also putting some money in some other people's pockets too and trying to help. Kind of, sort of goes on the helping the local thing out, but
Yeah, man, like that's where I'm conflicted personally. I guess it's this real conflict between, first and third world living and and it's been a huge education, so... Yeah, I don't know. It was like Thailand was very similar, yeah?
Yeah, for sure. Very similar. And listen, not everyone, but, good-hearted people, you make relationships with these people. You build relationships with your, whatever you want to call them, cleaners or house helpers or whatever the case may be. Even the local, my laundry lady, you have, you kind of build a bond and a friendship, and they become kind of part of your extended family, right? Because you're not home. So the more kind of special bonds that you can make, even something like as small as that is meaningful for both parties.
Oh, totally. And like just to see like how my kids interact and they're constantly teaching the kids how to speak Indonesian and educating us about the culture. And one thing that just keeps resonating over and over is that they're so at peace. And so grateful for everything they have, and it's inspiring because they can 100%. Have very little and be happy. Whereas I don't know what it's like where you're from. It's really just about accumulating, consuming. So accumulating money, accumulating investments, accumulating an awesome wardrobe, or and consuming this and that and. I still question how happy that is making our society. I mean, I see a lot of pain, a lot of mental illness, a lot of sad people.
Well, I think what you're saying just goes along with what kind of the point we were talking about before is the lifestyle over here, right? It's just we made the point about the stress level being low, and different stresses But at the same time, for me, one of the most important things is the culture and the people. That's why I've fallen in love with Southeast Asia, really. Becoming part of those cultures and people and building relationships with them. And that is what you fall in love with over here, I think. It's not just it's great to have a low stress level. It really is.
Do you have a low stress level?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I think you can, I don't know about for you, but obviously the climate in America is a bit different right now. And, it has been the last couple of years. And I can even remember, the first time that I came home after an extended period of time. You could feel the difference as soon as you step into the airport, I think.
Really?
Yeah, you can definitely...
Dare I say the energy?
yeah.
Fuck, I've changed.
No,
anyway,
no. You're right, though. You're right.
Yeah.
It's just it's a completely different feeling, and it's like, we pick up on that. You can pick up on it. You don't have to just see it, and it doesn't have to be blatant. You can feel it. You can feel it very much so. It's kind of like when because you said I grew up in New York City. I was just born in New York City, and when I was 2, I moved to the suburbs about 45 minutes north. But obviously spent a lot of time in the city. My father lived in the city for a long time.
Got it.
When I was older. And you can even feel it. And I normally, every time I go home, I go back to New York City, of course.
Would it be regarded as like the greater New York City area?
Actually, not even. It's like this more further. It's the suburbs. What's
it called?
It's where I grew up is called, it's called Katona.
Okay.
Katona. But it's about a 45-minute, or maybe an hour train ride. Nothing.
Okay.
I mean, people, it's close enough that a lot of people commute every single day for work. It's a tough grind.
Yeah.
But you can even feel it leaving from where I'm from, home, Katona, and then when you step off the train into New York City, that pace is something else, man. It's like, I can't even explain it. You got to see it or feel it. I don't know if you've been there, but when you step off of that train coming from the suburbs, I mean, you got to hit the ground running. It's like, it's intense. And I could see why people fall in love with it, but for someone that prefers a slower pace, it could be a bit difficult, I think, Yeah.
I often wonder how sustainable that lifestyle is. Like, it's so exciting, but just like, okay. So that's that town you grew up in. You said you moved there when you were 2.
Yeah.
Like, what was that like? What was your childhood like? Your early years there? Just suburban life?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I didn't. I moved to the area when I was 2. I kind of bopped around. My parents were divorced, and my dad always kind of just followed my mom around to be close enough to me. So I lived in a bunch of different houses, but generally with my mother, she got remarried, and we lived in that house. I consider that, my home, that house. And growing up there was amazing, man. It was just, we lived on a small lake, and I lived on it. I lived on that lake as a kid growing up because, my generation, we still had the video games and stuff, but we didn't have cell phones or internet or anything like that. And the first priority, no matter if it was raining, snowing, sunny, whatever, is you come home from school, maybe you watch like DuckTales for half an hour. That's an American show.
I've heard of DuckTales.
And then you hop outside until it's dark or until it's time to do your homework, and then you come back in and maybe you play some video games, maybe you don't, and then that was it. And then summertime, that's it. I would leave on my bike in the morning and probably not come back until it was dark.
That was the rule when I was a kid. Like, my mum was always like, you've got to come home when the street lights go on. That's how you know to come home.
That's great.
Yeah, and it's like, it's great. Like, it's a really common Australian thing, like, for kids. Like, you go out, but you make sure you come home when the street lights come on. And it's like, I remember being out on my bike just going, the street lights are on. Time to see you later. I'm going home.
That
I'm
is
going to
so
get the
amazing,
shit if I
man.
don't get home. Everyone's like, see all the kids in the whole area just pedaling home. We're going to get in the shit.
Yeah. What a cool thing, though, isn't it? Like, to have that. Could you imagine, like, not having that when you were a kid? Like,
I know. Do you think the same innocence still exists with the current generation of really young people? Like, I'm talking kids, 5 to 12 or whatever, before they hit the teenage years.
My initial answer would be no, not at all. But obviously that's
why.
Well, that's too. What do you call it? I mean, that's generalizing.
Very
isn't
general,
it?
Yeah.
More of a stereotypical thing. It's just something. I mean, we've talked about it a lot at school. Just the whole, this generational thing is really interesting, and you see it. Actually, to be fair, I saw it when I was, in high school with some of the younger kids. They were just more. How do you say? They were doing things that we weren't at a younger age, right? And that kind of started this my it's when I was looking at these grades and I'm like, man, that's crazy to be doing at 6th grade. Like, what we weren't doing that. And then from then on, but then it just you can kind of compare it to kids now, right? Because it's like I look at high schoolers and middle schoolers, even primary kids, I'm like, holy cow, man, this is just way ahead of where we were. And I think a lot of it has to do with, obviously, technology.
That was my next question. Like, what's your theory on that? Is it because of their sheer access to vast amounts of information?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of that, and I guess, what I was looking at the other day? I guess I'm a millennial, technically. I think it's from like 1981 to, I don't know, somewhere. Who knows? Because obviously there might be some different facts out there on that. But I'm like thinking, I watched this, what was it? Simon something. I watched this amazing talk about this guy who basically kind of broke down the millennial generations moving forward. And it's scary. And it's like, I think I really agree with a lot of the things he said, which is basically like you have these phones or you have these things in your pocket that basically turn us into robots, right? We can have anything we want nowadays, anything at your fingertips. So these kids from an early age are being brought up on this instant gratification and the likes and the hits of dopamine and boom, 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 boom. So they're just moving, their attention span is getting, smaller because they can get anything they want on that phone. And then you kind of combine it with, I don't know, I guess I have to be like really careful with the vocabulary I use, but
why?
Well, just like, entitlement and this is a much bigger conversation, but the kind of lack of discipline and kids kind of being able to kind of do what they want when they want type of, I think that's kind of been it's been a vibe that I've felt in the last 5 to 7 years,
Do you have any theories, though, on why that, as you say, lack of discipline is maybe happening with the next generation or this generation coming through? I know we could get back to technology, but I know it's a big conversation. Let's have a little crack at it, because I've got some personal theories, but I'm curious as to why you think there's that perceived lack of discipline, as you say, and maybe even respect.
That's the biggest thing, is I think it goes hand in hand, and I think we see it on a daily basis. And I'm not just talking about at Green School. This is happening elsewhere.
100%. It's nowhere is it. No school is immune at the moment.
No, and it's a generational thing. And this is my take on it. And before I even go into it, I have to say that looking back on my teaching career, this is my 13th year, and then before those years, I was I was still working in schools. From the start of about 20 years old is when I first started actually teaching in schools. And, I look back at my first actual phys ed teaching job, and I'm embarrassed that I filled that stereotypical meathead PE guy, from America. Oh, right, you got to do it this way, you got to do it this way, blah, blah, blah. And I'm a much different person now. And I've given up most, if not all, of my traditional practices, as I'm using this quote symbol. The one thing, though, that I really can't seem to shake, and I really feel very kind of passionate about it, is teaching kids discipline, accountability, holding them accountable for actions, how to be responsible, because I think those things are being lost at a very rapid rate because of what we're talking about.
Do you think those qualities are the job of a teacher? To teach,
I think it's not just the teacher. I think it comes. I think that was the beauty of it when we were growing up, is that you got that from not just your teacher, you got it from your coach, you got it from your parents, you got it from your teachers, you got it from your friends' parents, right? Because it was a different time. Back when I was going to school, and I'm not saying this is right, but even if it was my fault, or even if it was the teacher's fault, it was still my fault in my parents' eyes. That was a generational thing. That was not just my household. The teacher is important, and what they say goes. Where now it's completely flopped. It's completely the opposite in most cases, and you can actually tell the students that are still brought up the other way. Right? You can tell. You can tell by talking to their parents. You can tell by the way the children act. And I think it's very black and white, and I find it very hard to understand why it can't be seen by others, or maybe it's just not brought up by others because people are uncomfortable, or because there's this climate now that's very, you have to be very safe. You have to be very careful with what you say and what you do and how you act. And I understand that, and I completely get it. But I think the thing is that a few years back, or 5 or 7, however long it was, because education is kind of like fitness, right? There's always something new coming out, a new way of working out, a new form of education, a new style of teaching, right? Not as often, but this progressive teaching style, this social emotional learning teaching style, which is amazing, that includes mindfulness and all of these other aspects that we never even touched on years ago for our generation, which are amazing. But I think that, and again, this is just my opinion, I think that, ironically, we're in Bali, where it's balance is a big part of life here, right? I think that we're off the mark in terms of that balance in regards to, let's just use, let's say, discipline? What would be the opposite of discipline?
The opposite of anarchy?
Well, being in the middle, having that line that you can walk where it is you do have reflection, you have self-reflection, you have a conversation. You talk about why it was right or why it was wrong. And then there's also something called a possible consequence that's attached to that. Something that's going to really help that learning experience out. And I think there is that middle area, that balance that you can have. I'm not saying to drill the kids and slap them on the wrist and treat it like a military school. I'm just talking about finding a medium where you can use social emotional learning and mindfulness and reflection and restorative conversation along with something that resembles some type of, as some people say, consequence, which is like a bad word these days.
Which is more in line with the world they're about to enter.
Correct.
A world that has very clear and rigid boundaries in a lot of things.
Yeah.
So is that the point you're trying to make?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's scary. I think we're doing a disservice to the kids because once they go outside of the school walls, I mean, they're not going to get everything they want. They can't go apply for a job, and when they don't get it because there was someone that's way more qualified than them, and it's going to send them into kind of a frenzy, and it's like, that's not real life. That's not real life. And resilience is something also that I think is missing, too.
Just going back to what you were saying about this balance of power, and you said you feel like it's tipping the other direction, like towards the student direction. So they're having more power over, say, the teacher.
Sorry, I should have been more clear about that. I think that format can be used. We were actually using it the other day at a meeting. That format can be used. I guess it would be like a line graph, right, where there's this extreme and this extreme. Here's the area that you want to be, right? And you actually could look at it that way, right? Whereas let's like student empowerment and full on like what do you call it? Like teacher dictatorship. That's a good one, right? So
okay, gotcha.
Here on this side you got student ownership and empowerment, and this side you have teacher discipline, right? Or dictatorship, we'll call it, right?
Yep.
So if you can't be too far this way or that way, because it's not going to benefit either party or both parties. Both parties are the ones that you want to be able to kind of touch on and help, right? So if you're in that middle area here, then it's going to be beneficial for both the students and the teachers, and I think everyone else is going to get something out of it.
Wow. So this is a first. We've just had a blackout in the location we are recording in. But turns out my recorder is battery powered. And we can keep going in the dark, bro.
I love it.
And it's really funny. Like it's been a really interesting afternoon. Oh, and there's lightning happening.
This is interesting,
dude,
eh?
Dude, we talk about energy and like there's lightning. It's dark, and then the local temple is having a huge ceremony, a 3-day ceremony where they are basically praying and playing the gamelan for 3 days straight.
Oh, I heard that actually, yeah.
And at one stage I was thinking about cancelling the podcast with you because of it, and I thought, let's just keep going. Yep, we're all good here. I'm getting the thumbs up from our resident electrician. Do you need a help up there?
Boom. Dude, that was some serious stuff
back.
going on.
Dude.
There was some energy going on right there.
Just goes to show, Gazza, you just got no control over anything, do you? But look, you were making a really interesting point because, I've been a teacher around the same time as you, and you were kind of touching on, and correct me if I'm wrong, you were saying here's a question for you. Do you feel like, after being a teacher for 13 years, you've seen some changes you actually get to see some changes in society and humans, all right, and culture. Do you feel like as an educator of young people that you're becoming increasingly disempowered in your role?
This is what I was like talking to you about before, like the way that the words that you use and everything, you're hitting the nail on the head here. What I was just doing before is exactly what I wanted to avoid, the whole rambling situation.
No, dude, be long.
What you just said was kind of what I was trying to get at, and that in addition to other things, for sure. But yeah, I think there is, the power is shifting a lot, and which is great because think about it when we were growing up, it was the opposite. I'm not really sure about where you grew up, but it was the opposite.
Yeah.
And there was a certain way to teach, and that was how you did it. Sure, certain teachers taught different ways.
Totally.
But differentiation wasn't really a thing.
Yeah.
Right? But now that like what you're talking about, where the power is kind of shifting a bit, I just think if it tips the scale to one way too much, it's just not as beneficial as it could be if it had that balance. You see what I'm saying?
Totally, man.
So like student empowerment and ownership is so important. I mean, I use it, and I know I've seen you use it every day. It's very important. And it's really important for kids to challenge things. I get it. I completely understand. It's very important these days. But I just think that there also needs to be more of a facilitation role, a stronger facilitation role by the teachers, right?
Well, yeah, and I think they need to be respected, and it needs to be highlighted, and they need to be respected in the fact that they are facilitating your training for life outside of an institution. You know, because schools are institutions, and I see them, my perspective's changed on them. Like when I first started, I remember I was given like a grade 12 class in Australia. That's like 17, 18-year-olds.
Right.
And we had a subject there called PDHPE, and it's all theory, and you're learning about health, and you're looking at government health policy, and then you look at anatomy and physiology, and it's just primarily designed to help the students gain access to university. So
yes,
and it's purely dictated by universities. And so I was always very focused on results. We've got to get the results, because if we don't get students into university, we're doing them a disservice.
Right.
And it took me friggin' 10 years to realize that, hey, most kids don't want to go to university, you know?
Yeah.
And I now see the profession as like, you really are developing their ability to problem solve, negotiate, make decisions, communicate, collaborate, because they're the transferable skills that are going to serve them in every single thing they do.
Correct.
Whether it be university, whether it be becoming a bricklayer, whether it be becoming a nurse or a doctor or a magic card dealer, which is probably the best fucking job in the world.
The best. For
Imagine
sure.
that on your CV. So what did you do for the last 5 years? I dealt magic cards as a professional magic card dealer.
Yeah.
Like, how rad does that sound?
It does, but you're still lost on the magic card thing. It has
Talk me
nothing to
through.
do-
Like, what
it
is
has
this, man? What is this magic? I'm curious, man. Like,
you
tell
know,
me.
I got to
What
tell
is
you.
it? What is it?
I mean,
You
I
make
kind
it-
of put it on there as a joke because I knew it would kind of to
Why?
rile you up a little bit.
Dude.
I'll give you the lowdown of it,
Go.
and then we got to move on. But
I'm ready.
so I can't believe I'm actually saying this in a podcast.
Well,
you know
no,
what?
no,
Actually,
no.
no.
If
Forget
someone
it.
says to you, Garrett, what are you doing tonight? And you say to them, I'm sorry, I can't come to the sauna and the ice bath with you. I've got to play magic cards.
All right,
what
here
sort
it
of
is.
reactions do you expect from people like, oh yeah, that's a totally reasonable thing to do?
No, absolutely not. People
Okay,
that
thank
know what they are like, you're kidding, right?
So it's like, if you don't know, you don't know.
Right, and it's it's basically this game, this card game that's been around since I think the mid 90s. And you'll have to ask Pac Joubert about this, our mutual friend, because he's the one that got me into them. Okay, and this is only a relatively new discovery. Probably the first year was here when we all became close. And it's this game that's like a card game, and I don't know. He would have a better description of it. It's like fantasy themed, and you have to see. I see now. I'm getting a little bit embarrassed here.
Why?
Okay? Because I'm talking about magic cards on the damn podcast,
And I'm filming you at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, it's this. Apologies for anyone. I mean, I'm a magic card player as well, but it's a geeky game. It's a super gamer type of game. So it's like this. It's fantasy themes like dragons and all that stuff. Yeah,
You have a girlfriend.
I do. Yeah,
Fucking lucky, because there's no way you would get a girlfriend if you.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
I'm joking.
No, for sure. But Pac Joubert and I have FNM. It's called FNM, Friday Night Magic. So we stay in on a Friday night and we play magic cards.
Tell me you don't abbreviate it to FNM. Like, you don't go like, yo, man, like, we FNMing tonight. Like, you don't say that.
Well, we'll say, hey, FNM, right? Because it's beyond, Shannon. It's we did not make this up. FNM is a thing amongst all of the magic players in the world.
So it stands for fantasy and magic? Or
no,
fantasy
Friday
edition?
Night Magic, because that's your plan. And actually, I should tell you, it's called like
So
you
you've
would.
allocated a night of the week, like
Right.
possibly the best night of the week.
Yes, correct.
So it
Yeah.
must be good.
It's fun. It's fun. It's they call it cardboard crack because it hooks you pretty. We have like thousands and thousands and thousands of cards, and right down the road in the house that you've been in.
Okay, so
Yeah.
like, and what, you just play each other and
You just play each other.
like
You make decks. You play each other. You have kind of like little mini like best 2 out of 3 matches and stuff. I mean, it is super gamer. I mean, big time.
but no computer involved.
No, zero. You can play
old-
online, but
old
this
school.
it's we don't do that.
Old
And I
school.
should probably tell you, it's called it's abbreviated as MTG, not Magic.
MTG.
Yeah, Magic the Gathering. It's called.
Oh, cool, man.
I want you to your homework is I want you to Google it later afterwards.
Dude, I'm
Okay,
Googling it right now.
I want you to check it out.
Cool.
Okay. And now I don't want to talk about it anymore because I know that
Why?
it's kind of because it's I feel a little silly. Yeah, but
Don't feel silly, man. It's rad.
I had an MTG Christmas, so I got a lot of Magic cards. It was great.
Really?
Yeah.
It's rad, man.
Yeah.
And you get to hang out with your mate. Like,
Yeah, man. It's a good
do you-
time.
I mean, do you just talk shit and hang
Yeah,
out?
man. Talk shit. Sometimes we put on a fantasy movie if we're feeling squirrely. I don't know.
Fantasy movie.
Yeah, like,
Like-
Labyrinth. You ever seen Labyrinth?
Oh, dude,
It's
the
a
Labyrinth
classic.
was the best movie. Like that flying dragon. It was like a puppy face.
No, come on. That's the never-ending story, man.
Shit.
That's Valcor. He's from the. It's another great.
I've
That's
ne-
actually the best fantasy movie ever made. In my
Never-ending
opinion.
story.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I used to love it.
the
But
best.
I've never been a fantasy guy or a sci-fi guy.
I
like-
completely understand.
I like
get it.
I like factual stuff, real life,
Yeah,
like reality shows.
yeah.
Like Jersey Shore.
Right.
So where you're from?
Yeah.
Is that Jersey?
No, everybody gives me shit for that too.
Why?
They think it's funny to say that I'm from Jersey because Jersey has the not a negative connotation, but it's like, oh, you're from dirty Jersey. You're
heard-
from
I don't know
the
much.
armpit of the states. But it's
Well-
really not. There's actually beautiful places there, and my sister lives there.
So New Jersey, if I'm correct, it's its own state.
Yep, it's
But it's very
across the
close
river.
to New York.
Right next to it.
Yeah.
You take the George Washington Bridge over. That's one of the ways that you can get from there. From New York City, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Oh,
it's
cool.
it takes 45 minutes to get to my sister's house.
Oh, cool,
So,
man. So,
yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, man, so you grew up in suburban, would you call it not upstate New York, but suburban New York?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And then, so you went to school there.
Went to high school. Yep.
So you went to elementary school in the same town?
Yep. Elementary, middle, and high school.
What was like elementary school like for you?
I was lucky, man. I loved elementary school. I loved middle school. I loved high school. I loved it all.
You did. What kind of? How would you describe yourself as a student then?
Terrible. I was awful. I mean,
Really loved
yeah. I mean, listen, I'm not gonna. Actually, it's so funny how you have these like vivid memories, right? Like I remember the first time I actually got shitty grades. And I was like, it was 5th grade, and my teacher's name was Mr. Mylove, and he's like going all over these grades. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, this is like the first time I've seen these bad grades. I'm like, what's going on? I couldn't for the life of me figure out why I was getting these bad grades until, years later when I was like, oh, wait a minute, I didn't do shit. That's why.
What did Mr. Mylove have to say?
I wasn't failing. I wasn't a failing student, but I was
So Mr. Mylove was like,
he wasn't pumped, but
like,
he wasn't.
Like, what was he saying? Like, you're not focused. You're like.
I can't really remember in that much detail, but that was when I first started getting subpar grades because and you know what? It goes into the whole I loved it. I loved school, but it was stressful because I didn't do well. But
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it.
What about, so after elementary school and primary school, you went straight to obviously went to high school straight away.
Straight away to high school from 5th grade. I was a protege with shit grades.
See,
That's
I
exactly
get
what it
confused because in Australia we don't have middle school.
Yeah.
From grade 7 to 12, that's all high school.
All
All
high school,
thrown
yeah.
together.
Yeah.
We toughen up the young kids. They have to hang with the big kids straight
Yeah.
away.
Ruffle them up.
None of this bullshit of like,
Rile
we'll
'em up.
We'll just protect them in the middle school.
Yeah.
Man. There's none of that.
Riley Coyote. Get them all fucking riled up.
No, I'm just joking. But so yeah, like high school. How would you like high school years? Like good times. Like what were you drawn towards in high school? Was it academia, sports? I'm guessing sports.
Well, that's the funny thing. I'm a what do they call it? I guess isn't there a saying like a Renaissance man like a jack of all trades, but a master of none. Have you heard of that before?
I have. I was going to say chameleon.
Chameleon, maybe.
Really?
Sure. I mean, I've never heard, but sure, I can see where that would come from. But I wanted to do everything. And still to this day, it's defines who I am. So I'm not like a star lacrosse player or whatever, because I wanted to do everything. I wanted to play guitar. I wanted to play, I wanted to skateboard. I wanted to play sports. I wanted to surf. I wanted to snowboard. Every time I saw somebody doing something cool, I'm like, oh, I got to try it. So, I did a lot of stuff in high school, and I did the musicals in high school as well.
See, okay, because this is what I was leading into. This is where I find you so interesting. I mean, I find a lot of people interesting, but I just find you so interesting. Like you are very much, a sporty guy. I don't want to stereotype, but you definitely fit a mold of someone who really enjoys sport.
Right.
Okay, you know about it, you watch it, you play it. Like I know basketball is something that's really important to you, but then you have this other side of you where you like musicals, and then you went to university and studied speech and theatre. Yeah. So what can you explain or describe? Like what does that degree look like explicitly? Is it?
I can.
Productions or?
Yeah, I can tell you exactly how that went. When I was younger, I used to, my family and I, we would watch TV together at night. We would watch, I think, big one was The Wonder Years. Did you guys know?
Man, Kevin Arnold.
Yeah.
Dude, I thought I was Kevin Arnold.
Yeah, exactly. But they don't make shows like that anymore. You agree. I mean, they make good shows, but not like heartfelt, really good. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh, man.
So that was like a big thing in my household. Also, for me, Nickelodeon was a big one. And again, do you know Nickelodeon?
We do. Not as popular in Australia, but Australia just tries to copy everything America.
Well,
so we have mostly American TV shows.
Well, Nickelodeon was much different when I was a kid. It was amazing. And then I would go to my dad's, and we would have our ritualistic TV shows that we would watch, too, and movies. And my dad is a huge movie buff. He can tell you any line of any movie. He is just like...
Loves it.
Especially like mafia movies and stuff. Like he knows, he can name actors, dates. I mean, the whole nine. He's like walking IMDb, pretty much. Yeah. But anyways, sorry, I digress. So I got really influenced, and I was like, Mom, I want to act. I want to be an actor one of these days.
I could see you doing it.
So what she did was she took me to this thing called a modeling agency. It's not like it's not like where you model. It's like it was called the modeling agency, but you get your headshots done. This was when I was in grade 4 or 5, I think.
Yeah.
And that's when I started doing like these little stupid like commercials and like religious videos.
You did
shit.
Commercials?
Yeah, terrible. Like they didn't even. I remember I was in the movie. Do you know the movie North with by Rob Reiner? It had Elijah Wood in it.
Yes, I've heard of it. Yeah, were you in that?
I wouldn't say in it. I was an extra in it, and I was. My scene was actually taken out anyways, which happened a lot. But I actually was. Elijah Wood and I were playing video games like all day, the arcade game together. But anyways, whatever. It was just nothing notable. Trust me, nothing like. It was just like fun. You know what I mean? But then I kind of dropped off of that in a little bit in middle school, and then high school. I had this buddy called John. He's my very close friend. He's my neighborhood or my childhood friend. We were best buddies. We were like inseparable. And he was one of these guys that like super athletic, like any sport he touched, he was good at from like, 6th grade on. Because I met him in 6th grade pretty much. So he stopped doing sports freshman year. And I'm like, and he went full on into theater. And I'm like, what the hell? This guy, like, he's like a better athlete than me. Like anything he touches, he's good at. And he was a very talented actor, still is to this day. Has 4 beautiful kids, and he's married to his high school sweetheart. But this is embarrassing. If he listens to this, he's going to crack up. But I was super influenced by him. Anything that he did, I wanted to do. So I just kind of copied him. He was like kind of like a big brother, but same age type of thing. We were just inseparable all through middle school and high school. And he was getting all of these girls. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck is going on here? I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I'm talking about, like, everyone. Yeah. Everyone loved him. Everyone. And I'm like, dude, can you help me out here? Because, like, we kind of look alike. Yeah. Like, what the fuck is going on here? Like,
what was he doing?
What's the secret? Yeah. And I'll never forget. We were sitting in the library. He's like, dude, they love me being in the plays. I'm like, well, I'll be damned if I'm not going to fucking do it. So that's when I started doing it. And it turned out I loved it, and it was fun. We had a blast
School
doing
plays.
it. Yeah, the musicals, not even the plays. He did the.
He was in he was getting roles in the school musical.
Yeah, he was in all four. So there was usually a fall drama and a spring musical. I only did the musicals, but he did every drama and every musical. He did like the one act play. He did everything. He was freaking like phenomenal. And we had a blast. And then there was my other buddy Zach, and who also was into it. And I mean, I was just kind of like took a back burner, but I actually got really into it pretty much my sophomore, junior, and senior year. And it was a pretty jockey type school. We had like over 1,000 kids, but no one was really super, super bullied at my age. Like, sure, everybody caught some shit, but like, I obviously caught a lot of shit being on these sports teams.
Why?
Being part of it, because I would have to like this was similar to, I'm sure, Australia. Like, if you're in the play, you better be there every single rehearsal, 5 days a week. If you're on a sports team, you're there every day, 5 days of the week, and then nights.
Gotcha.
Like, so sometimes it would work out, but sometimes, obviously, I'd have to like maybe come to practice late or come to rehearsal late or whatever. And, the guys on the team they had a field day, obviously, because they're like, oh, good, this guy's coming late to practice because he's in a fucking musical. Great. But then, they were like, they all showed up. Most of them showed up to the performance and stuff. And And actually, it was such a big conflict my junior year because it was huge conflict of interest, and they want full commitment from both sides. So I eked it out junior year. I was a lead. It was super fun. It was the most memorable thing I've ever done. It was called South Pacific. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's a musical. Rodgers and Hammerstein.
Dude, I'll be honest with you. I'm not a musical guy.
No. Dude, I get it. Trust me.
And my wife is massively. She's been in a bunch of them.
Well, maybe she should be
get it. You know what I can't get about musicals? Like you know how they sing talk.
Yeah. Dude, they do in a lot of them. Not all of them, but yeah, they do. They do.
Like,
yeah, it's a little weird.
You have to sing that. Why can't you just say it?
Yeah,
I'm losing. I can't keep up with you.
I feel you, man. Listen, of course, I went. I got caught shit for it for 2 years.
But it's rad. Like I like how you're like, I want to. This is what I want to do. Like you're not conforming. Like that's more like that's tougher than just like conforming to what everyone else is doing.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough at a lot of points, and then I started doing like some musicals outside of school with my buddy John and Zach, and I loved it, and I also loved my sports. Did both take a hit, maybe a little bit, but I was getting leads in these plays, and the sports that I was playing. Yeah, it was fun. I mean, the one that happened junior year, that was what my junior year in high school caused a big issue, and then basically my director, who was one of my favorite teachers I ever had, his name is Mr. Morse. He's like, we can't do this again. Like, I got to give it to someone else. I got to give this role to someone else because they can come every day. And I think I got like the best actor award or something that year. It was you
kind of had your finger in too many pies.
Yes, exactly. But then the following year, I was like, okay, you're correct. I have to focus on, and I was playing hockey, ice hockey, which was one of the most fun sporting experiences I've ever had.
It's amazing.
And I made the choice. I'm like, listen, I got to choose. I got to go with sports this year.
Yeah.
And sure enough, he actually said, "Yep, no problem." And then someone dropped out like 3 weeks into the production. He's like, "I need you." He's like, "I got to have you for this part."
You got the call up.
Yeah. He's like, "You got to." He's like, "We'll do what we got to do for rehearsals, but you got to work your ass off." I was like, "All right." And that was it. That was kind of what threw me into the thing in college with the speech and theater thing, but. Unfortunately, what happened in that situation was I knew I was going to be a teacher. I knew I was going to minor in education, which is a certification that you can get, obviously the teaching certification, and I was going to do it in PE.
Cool.
They took it away the year that I got there.
Oh, no.
The PE subject matter.
Oh, right.
So I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do? What am I going to do now? I know I'm going to teach, and I got to get this credential. So I was like...
So just to clarify, you already... Had you completed the speech and theatre degree?
No,
or you were still doing that. You're going to do it in combination.
So I did a double major because I was like, all right, I'm just going to do English. I'm just going to do English, and I still was into theater. And I figured out, there were these certain obviously double majors that courses crossed over. And I was like, boom, double major and a minor. And I was like, okay, it's not PE, but whatever, I can do some things that I want and do some writing. And
so throughout university, you would have been required to do like performances and stage plays and stuff like that?
Yeah, there was one, but that was a bit different because at that time I was playing lacrosse, and you can't. That's I don't know if you know anything about like American sports, but at the collegiate level, it doesn't matter if you're D1, 2, or 3. You're eat, sleeping, and drinking that stuff.
That's a huge cultural difference, I think, between like Australia and America, where like I know how serious college sports are there, but in Australia it's not quite like that. We have college sports, but I don't know. For me, when I was at university, I ended up playing in a touch rugby team, like representative university team,
right,
and like you'd go on these tournaments. Like we played the Australian University Games, like national. It's a national tournament, and it was just a big piss up. Like we just got seriously drunk for a week. Yeah, and it was like whichever team could like drink the most, but you were playing drunk and hungover every single time.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And if you could do that with a hangover, like you were the champion.
Yeah.
And you got mad respect for it,
Oh, that's
like
awesome.
There was a few games I remember, like literally, like not even an hour's sleep. Like I went straight from the nightclub to the fields, like we all did, and it was like just one eye going that way, one eye going that way. And
of course, yeah. That's
so
a tough one.
there's the cultural difference. Like there was no there was no training, there was no coach. Like interesting. Yeah, man. Yeah. So, like, I just find that really intriguing. So, I guess from high school, you kind of you transitioned straight from high school to university. You didn't have a gap year or a time.
No, that wasn't big back when I was growing up. I don't know if it is now. Sometimes people would do gap years for sports. What do they call it? Post grad year, PG year. Yeah, PG year for sports. But most kids, went right from senior to.
And then from there, like university, so you did you sort of, by the time you got to university and you were playing on the college lacrosse team. Yeah. So from what I understand, like that's a pretty big deal to get on a college level team. Am I right?
Yeah, it is. You have to, because the thing is in America, the pool is huge. So like you could be the best player on your high school team, but the colleges have 100 million best players on their team. You know what I mean? To choose from. So you have to make the team. So a lot of times you're recruited, and a lot of times, if you're good enough, you get scholarships. But yeah, it's I don't know about. I'm guessing it's different now, but walking on to a team is not, which means like when you basically just go and just try out. That's kind of. It's not much of a thing, I think, but it can be done for sure, 100%. But it was more common to really work hard and get recruited and stuff. So.
Oh man, this is so funny. Like, can you hear that noise?
Yeah.
What is going on tonight? Blackouts. There's a thunderstorm coming in, and then the local temple has just started playing the gamelan, which is like probably one of the loudest instruments in the world.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Great instrument.
Love it.
It's beautiful. Yeah. Oh, like they were playing it this afternoon, and the kids and I were playing in the pool, and it just, I don't know, it just spreads this, like you just feel really like all of a sudden you're just zoned out and just super relaxed or something. Like you go into like a meditation because it's so repetitive.
It's beautiful.
It's cool, man.
Makes you really feel like you're living in a different country.
It does. I like that. I do.
Yeah,
like,
sometimes you lose that sense here in Canggu, but Canggu, whatever you want to call it.
Canggu.
Yeah.
Canggu, mate.
Yeah.
Canggu. Yeah, so like when you moved to Bali, like you came straight to the Canggu area?
I did, yeah. Sorry, no. I thought that green school was in Ubud, so I stayed in Ubud for like a week, and then I realized quickly that half the people stay in Canggu, half the people stay in Ubud and some other sporadic. And I was like, yep, I'll be going to Canggu immediately. Thank you. Yeah,
why?
Because I wanted to like surf and be near the water. I'm a water guy. I've been living on an island for 8 years now. So.
Yeah, man. Okay, so university, and then you couldn't get your phys ed qualification.
Yeah.
So how did you end up getting that?
Well, so my master's. But the craziest thing was that my entire career, because I started in a private school, was able to get all of this PE experience.
Right.
All 13 years that I've been teaching, I've been a PE teacher.
Oh, wow.
because I started at a private school. But to be honest, before that, I did a ton of like leaves for PE, and that was like my main subject that I was the substitute teacher in.
And you really just wanted to be on that trajectory, like you.
Yeah, and I was like, shit, if I can do this at a private school, then.
But when did you make that decision that you're like, no, this is what I want to do?
As a teacher or PE?
Yeah, like at what point did you say, yeah, like I want to follow this path, like I want to be a PE
Early,
teacher?
16 years old when I started coaching a girls basketball team with two of my friends that were also girls. That's when I knew. I was like, all right,
like, this is what I'm into.
Yeah. And then by the time I was 18, that was what I was going to do, for sure.
And just going back another step, like, so if we could sum up high school, it was like, you said it was a really good time, but academically not so great. But let me guess, socially was just epic.
Great.
It was the same for me, man. Like, to be honest, like the high school years, like especially those last 2 years, was seriously to date like the best social time in my life ever.
So fun.
I just had so much good shit going on, and I just had like good friends, and I had a high school girlfriend. And it was just like a really magic time, and we just, and all the people in my actual year group were just really cool as well, and we all bonded, and there was no like animosity towards one another. There was no, like, I don't know, we all just really got along.
Yeah.
And then, but my academia and my studies were just like, I just couldn't give a
back
shit.
burner. Yeah, back burner. I call it skating. I was just skating through everything.
Do you regret that though?
Not at all. Because I was able to do the things that I wanted to do, and because I'm going to be honest, I wasn't a great student. I wasn't a learner that went and studied for tests, and I was a writer. I loved writing, creative projects, that type of thing. And that, there was a lot that I did, I guess, growing up in high school maybe and in college that could do that. But my attention span, I suck. I was a shit student. Funny enough. But
do you still like writing?
I do, but I don't do it enough. I don't really do it.
When you say writing, like, can you tell me like what kind of writing? Like,
well, in college I had to do I did fiction writing, which I actually really loved. Fictional writing, a lot of short stories. But I really wanted to write movies, so I took some screenwriting and playwriting classes, and I wrote two movies, two full-length scripts. Sorry, I shouldn't say movies. Yeah, and then
no way,
a few one-act plays also.
You wrote 2 movie-length scripts?
Yeah, about 110 to 120 pages type.
What?
Yeah, they were terrible, but I mean, I loved it.
What was the name of one of them?
I don't even remember the name of one of them, but it was after my family.
What was the premise of it? Was it like actually, what genre would it have been?
It was a comedy, and it had to do with my family, because I love my family very much. We have a blast together.
Yeah.
And it revolved around my grandfather, who was a big idol in my life, for sure.
Cool.
And he was the reason,
character.
Yeah, he was the reason why I went to St. Lawrence. He was like one of the most winningest football coaches in history there, had a legacy there, and my mom went there. And it was the reason I went there. And I just loved him so much, and my whole family, really. So I actually like both sides, my mom's side and my dad's side. I'm very lucky with the family that I have, and they were all involved in it. It was kind of like a...
Well, involved with what, like helping you write it, or like, I mean,
no, just characters. I based the whole story on all of them, characters and stuff. It's funny. Yeah.
Do you still like entertain the idea of like being a scriptwriter?
Sure, I do, but I'm not putting any time into it right now.
Do you think it could be something that maybe when you get older and you can't play sport anymore, that you'll revisit?
That's a good idea. I think I might take your advice on that.
Go.
That's a good idea.
Maybe.
Yeah, man.
You can't be just like kicking ass on the basketball court like the rest of your life.
Oh my! I'm probably the worst one on the court.
That's been actually a big thing for me lately. I've been thinking about a lot, like, because I'm listening to your story, and I just identify with so many elements of it. Yeah, like I was kind of always like had too much energy, and I probably have ADHD undiagnosed, and maybe even dyslexia. Who knows? Like,
dude, maybe we're long lost brother.
But like I love people. I love socializing, and I've always been like really interested in people. But I've also been really affected by people. So like if I like someone's vibe, like I really get along with them, it's great. Like or if I like like we hit it off, and then conversely, it's like if someone's like being not cool to me, like it really hurts me, and I take it really personal, and I have to have to really work through it, you know. And that's actually been a theme for my whole life, if I be completely honest. But I just think that I've lost my train of thought a little bit, but I just feel that like sports and all that was such a big part of my life growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I really felt like I neglected this creative side of me. Like, you know, like I played soccer, you know, all of my young years, and then I was into skateboarding from a very young age as well. But I guess as I'm getting a bit older, I'm starting to really crave creative outlets, because it's like the impact on my body when I play sport now, or if I push myself too hard or even work out too hard, it's like I'm looking at 4 or 5 day recovery, man.
Right,
like my knees hurt, my ankles hurt. Like I kind of I'm in that mode, you know. Yeah. So, like, sorry to sort of go on a bit of a rant,
I love it. Keep going.
Like when you were talking about that, like you've actually, in my opinion, I feel like you've planted the seed for something that you can go back to. Like that's why I wish I picked up a musical instrument when I was younger, because then it's something you can just do your whole life, even when you're an old person, you know.
Well, what a timely conversation, though, because every word that you're saying now, it sounds like it's the perfect time for you to do so. Whether it be an instrument or a pen or a paintbrush or whatever the case may be, it sounds like, because, you know, I know you and you're an athletic person, and you're nutritional, or you're you know, the value that you put in nutrition, it's all there. So, like, what a perfect time to get some more things on the plate.
But here's a question for you. Because you had an interest in sports and everyone kind of seen you as a sporty guy, was that the self-image you created of yourself, that in your mind, that was your sense of identity?
I think it's become more and more as I become a PE teacher. I don't know how much of that it was high school was probably different. Because you know what? I think it is something that I have kind of created myself, but also mainly, like I just said, through being a PE teacher and a coach. I was a coach for many, many years. I haven't coached. Well, obviously, I'm talking about coaching, like junior varsity and varsity programs in America.
That's coaching.
Years of that. Yeah. No, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about like the 1 day a week at an international school type of thing. But I do think that it's just that I've wanted to do so much all the time that I've never had that identity, really. And just talking to you about it kind of makes me realize, like, maybe that's why I'm having this kind of thing where people are seeing me as this sporty guy and this would know that I have a creative side, maybe. Or I used to love playing guitar and singing, and sometimes I'll like sing at a party and be like, people will be like, what the hell?
See, this is mind-blowing to me. Yeah. Like, I had no idea.
Yeah, and I think maybe
this about you. I didn't know this.
Are you a therapist? Maybe you're unlocking some things from here. I mean, I'm just literally sitting here thinking, maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's because I have done all of these things all my life. I haven't been able to identify as this guy or that guy, and it's been great. And I still don't want to identify as one specific thing, but maybe that's what I'm doing. Maybe because I have been all over the place in regards to sports and, you know, magic cards and plays and blah, blah. Maybe now in the last couple of years, maybe that's why I've kind of gravitated towards that.
Yeah, like good point. Because like I know I've pigeonholed myself a lot in my mind based on what I think people want me to be, and then that is like what I think I should be.
Right.
But it's not what I want to be.
Is that crazy?
Yeah, and it's interesting because it takes a lot for me. I can't speak for everyone, but for me, I think it's taken a lot of self-confidence to get honest and then be brave enough to be honest and go, like I don't know if that's who I am.
Do you think that comes with age and experience?
Good point. Yeah, excellent question. I think it does. Maybe it could be a few things. It could be age. It could be a fucking midlife crisis, which is real. I mean, I think it is real because you get to midlife and you're like, oh well, I'm on the second half of my life statistically. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I think it's the way you look at it. I think it's a thing. This midlife crisis thing that goes on, and God forbid, hopefully, knock on wood, I don't have one or you don't have one, but I think
I'm having one right now.
Well, listen, it's all about mindset, isn't it? It's all about your mindset and the way that you look at things, right? I mean, but it is amazing to talk about that whole age and experience thing, because it's like, I was just thinking today, this is a synchronicity, on the bike, I was thinking about when I first started at Green School, which was not even, about 3 years ago, and some of the things that I said and did, and I'm like, shit, man, like, the person I am now wouldn't say or do those things. And
Even
it's because...
From 3 years ago? From 3 years ago?
Just from even 2 years ago. And I'm like, wait a minute, it's because I'm growing as a person, and because I'm looking back, and I'm like, wow, so this. I mean, I know that you learn stuff your whole life, and life is a learning experience. And when you're on your deathbed and you're 90 whatever years old, and, oh, don't forget to do this. But you know what? That's what it's all about, is going through your life and realizing those things, and it's great to have those things where people can give you advice and stuff. But man, oh man, I was like thinking about that just 2 years ago. Maybe even last year, I was saying and doing things that I wouldn't today, because I've learned things that have changed who I am just in that short amount of time.
Would you consider yourself someone who does have a growth mindset? Like, I talk a lot about growth mindset. When I say that, I mean like someone who is definitely just open to continuous learning. I'm
trying. I didn't used to be, I think. Yeah, I used to be the know-it-all.
I struggle with it.
I think that's something that I've learned pretty much in the past. Actually, you know what? Since I've been teaching abroad.
Okay.
That's what I have. That's one of the biggest things I've learned, is not just, for myself, but as a teacher. That's how you get better, is you learn from your kids and you learn from other teachers. And that is what's revamped my teaching many times.
Yeah.
And you have to be open to that. You have to be open to constructive criticism, and you have to be open to learning from the people around you if they're, apt enough to do so. And it's an amazing tool to be able to use.
Oh man. It is, dude. It's a challenge though. Oh look, the gamelan stopped. Yeah, it is. It's a daily challenge.
Yeah.
Now listen, university, you graduated.
Yeah.
Great, congratulations.
Yeah, great, Garrett.
How'd you feel when you got that piece of paper?
It was actually the worst day of my life. I was so miserable.
Why?
I cried for 6 hours on the way home. And I buried my mom poured me a glass of wine at when I got home after the 6-hour drive with my dad. And I just buried my face into the table.
6 hours from where?
My school was about 6 hours from where I lived.
Where you live? Okay. Oh, so you had to move away from home to...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I mean, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole quick.
No.
But that would have been hard moving away from your family,
College makes it easy, man. It's the best. And that's why I was so miserable. I'm like, I can't believe that have finished the best 4 years of my life.
Oh, so that's why you were crying?
Oh, I was bawling, man. And my mom is like...
Because it was over.
Yeah, she's like, listen. Okay. She's like, you have so much to look forward to. I'm like, it's over. It's over. They literally had to drag me like this across the stage with my nails in the
Really?
It was that bad. It was rough. It was a rough day for a lot of us. I had a blast. I was in a fraternity. I had some really great friends, some amazing experiences, a lot of partying, obviously, but... And the funny thing was, I was moving to the Hamptons a week later, which is like a big summer spot. I actually ended up staying there for like 10 years, which was just going to be a summer, but that's a different story. But and I was still so miserable. I didn't even care that I was going to one of the nicest places that you could ever be for summer to basically party and enjoy the beach and be with my friends. I didn't care. I thought it was the worst day of my life.
Interesting.
It was bad. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, for me, it was completely different. I was so glad to be out of there.
Oh, yeah.
I hated it. I hated studying. I mean,
yeah.
I worked hard and I got good grades in university, and I just wanted to get out of there. I hated it.
No, I can understand that for sure.
So then, okay, you graduated, you cried.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Like a baby.
It's okay.
Yeah, like a baby.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. And then you went... What was the next step from there? Like, what did you just stay in your hometown and
no
work out jobs, or were you just like, I got to get that?
Little did I know, I was out. That was it. I'll try and do this quickly because I know I don't want to take up your whole night here.
What do you mean?
Well,
there's no time limits.
All right, cool. Well,
you can talk all night, bro.
I just don't want to. I tend to ramble, as you know.
Dude, I like it. I do.
Appreciate that. So that's when life got really interesting. I moved to the Hamptons for the summer. And the cool thing was that I was going back to college for a post-grad semester. And that I knew was a brilliant transition for me out of college. But I was still super sad. And the great thing was that, well, not great, but I had one of my best friends ended up getting brain cancer. I guess that was our senior year. His name is Liam. And I remember it happened super fast, and we went to visit him with a couple friends. It was rough, but he made a full-on recovery, ended up being there for our graduation where he was actually supposed to be walking with us. And I'll never forget, my mom said she kind of passed him when she was walking out of the bathroom and he was going into the bathroom, and he just grabbed her and just cried, and they just, hugged for a minute. And because, he was supposed to be there with us. But the cool thing was I was coming back, and I lived with him for a full semester. And that was my teaching semester. So you had the choice of doing your teaching semester either in college or the fall after you graduate. I was like, fuck that. I'm extending this shit. Yeah. Fall after I graduate. And I ended up living with him. It was a good transition. And that was after the Hamptons. And then I moved back home.
Isn't that all the really rich?
Yeah. There was, but I was part of. We were, all my friends were we were the blue collar, locals. The locals have been there for generations, and they're the best. They're some of my closest friends today too.
It's not all mansions and
no. Yeah, it's a lot, but that's the summer thing, and that's like New York City money and very wealthy. But,
no way.
And so then I came home and I coached lacrosse for 2 seasons. But I only coached there for the spring, and then I went back out to the Hamptons. So I did that for 2 years, and then I moved out there full time. And I stayed there until I went to Thailand.
Nice.
Yeah. I loved it. I fell in love with it because of the locals and because of
in the Hamptons,
the local community. Yeah,
right,
it was the best. Yeah,
is it like geographically? Is it pretty?
Oh, it's beautiful, man.
Is that why all the rich people want to go there?
Yeah, the beaches are beautiful, man. Probably not close to what you have.
It's a lake, isn't it? It's like it's on a lake, or is it on the actual real ocean?
No, it's the Atlantic Ocean. That's where Montauk. You know Montauk?
Montauk.
Yeah, that's like the biggest surf spot out there.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the end. It's the tip of Long Island, all the way out east.
You know what, man? This is so random. I can't believe I'm going to say this. There's a movie with Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet called something of the Endless Mind. Oh, it's a serious one.
Wait, Jim Carrey or
Jim Carrey, and he does a serious movie with Kate Winslet. Like it's not a comedy. Endless.
I've heard of it. I know I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
It's on the tip of my tongue. Like, anyway, in that movie, he goes on this train to meet this girl in Montauk. I'm pretty sure
that's it. Yeah.
That's the Hamptons.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I get it.
Yeah.
Fuck, that's gonna plague me now.
Yeah, lots of good. Well, not lots of good surf spots, but
and her name was Clementine in the movie, which is my daughter's name.
Synchronicity.
Yeah. Or like Clem wasn't born then.
No,
I borrowed the name.
You named her after that.
I did.
Character?
After that. Oh no.
No.
I was
just kidding. But
it planted the seed of the Clementine.
That's awesome.
Man. There you go. Sorry, man. It's funny where your mind goes with weird
stuff. It's crazy,
stuff.
isn't it? I love it.
I want to remember that movie now. Your dad will know. Jim Carrey. You ask him. Jim Carrey, Kate Winslet, and it's a serious one. And it's a thing where like they try to get their memory erased because they had a breakup.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was like really painful, and they couldn't deal with it. So you could go to it's a bit quirky, and you go to this place, and they erase your mind. They erase all your memories, so you can completely forget about that person.
Shit, I might have to actually check that out.
You know, I'm going to watch it again. It's a good movie.
I think I am too. Actually, I haven't seen it. I'm going to watch it for the first time.
It's deep.
Yeah, man.
It's deep.
Yeah.
Are you deep?
Balls deep, man. All the time. Which isn't very far, but
I knew you were going to say that. Come on, man. I prep talked you before the show. I said no swearing.
I know, no swearing.
Nothing crude.
Unbelievable.
You know,
I couldn't.
You just got on here. It's such a New York thing to do. Like
I'm trying to be on my best behavior.
Can you say? I'm talking here. Can you say?
Everybody at the fucking green school calls me Joe Pesci. They think I'm fucking Joe Pesci. I don't think I have anything that besides being short and fat. I don't really think I have any
You're
other.
Not fat.
Oh, fucking hell, Joe Pesci. I mean,
Joe Pesci.
Because he's an angry, New York
You're
guy. Not New York, but well, maybe he is New York.
Joe Pesci. He's a classic. I'd love to be called Joe Pesci. Pesci, is that how you say it? Pesci?
Yeah, Pesci. Yeah.
Joe Pesci.
He's
a legend, man. He was in Goodfellas. Come on, man.
Yeah, that's
best
true.
gangster.
I get it. But I think it's for a different reason that they'll call me Joe Pesci, though. Just because I'm angry in New York and blah, blah, blah.
He was in Home Alone as well.
Oh, classic.
Dude.
The best.
Dude, best movie.
The best.
Actually, I remember when I first seen that. Look, anyway, let's not talk about that. All right. Yeah, man. So, okay, then Thailand, dude. So you got a job in an international school in Thailand?
No, I didn't. I went there for 4 months to start, to just teach a little bit and have some fun. And by the end of the 4 months, we were coming back. I knew I was not done in Thailand. It, however, was not intentional. It wasn't an intention to be gone for 8+ years in Southeast Asia. No, I was ready to go home after the 4 months. And excuse me. I thought I was going to be gone after the 4 months, and that was it, but that wasn't the case. Came back, worked in the Hamptons at my usual summer job, which was like a boat captain for a wake sports camp, making a ton of money.
A boat captain?
Yeah, super fun. Driving like a, not Malibu, it's the other one. Anyways, like driving one of those.
A speedboat?
Yeah, it was great.
You were driving a speedboat?
Yeah. I was teaching kids how to wakeboard and water ski and kneeboard and stuff, yeah.
You can wakeboard?
Yeah, not good, but I can, yeah. Good enough to teach kids that don't know how to do it. But I made a ton of money doing that for like 9 years, but that was the last time I did it. And then moved to Thailand, and that was it, man. I, again, was just planning on doing a year or so. And
tell me, what kept you there for 8 years?
Well, I went there with one of my buddies, Garrett. His name is Red Garrett. I'm Black Garrett. Okay. He's my buddy from the Hamptons. We've known each other for 15 years.
Does he have red hair?
He does. It's more ginger, but yeah, red. Okay. Yeah, that's why everyone out there calls us Red and Black or the Garretts when we're together.
Does he have any ninja training?
No ninja training.
Okay,
no
just
ninja
curious.
Training. No, definitely not.
But he said his hair's a bit more ginger.
A little ginger, yeah, a little bit more ginger.
But no,
brownish ginger.
So he's not a ginger ninja.
No, definitely not a ginger.
I just wanted to clarify. I was curious.
Definitely not a. But yeah, we went there and we made some really good friends, and I felt like I was just getting stuck in, and I knew that I was meant to be back there. So I went back, and it was. Never looked back from there. It just ended up getting, one more year. And then that's when I got the job at an international school in Thailand.
So there you go again. Like, it sounds like you stayed for the people.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
But you 100%. Stayed for your social crew, correct?
Social, but the thing was about Thailand that's different from here is that I fell in love with Thailand. I can't tell you how hard I fell for that country. After those first 4 months, like the first couple months are rocky. And then by the end of that 4th month, I was like, fuck, I can't believe I have to leave this place. Yeah. And just like a few months ago, Garrett and I were sitting in a subway and we're like kind of stressed because it's like the first month and a half in. And we're like, fuck, man, May 23rd is going to be like fucking Christmas Day. And we both started laughing. That was the day we were going home.
Yeah.
And shit, over the next couple of months, I just fell head over heels. And then when I got back, it just every single day was just Anthony Bourdain, I think, said once, like, when he came to Southeast Asia, he started seeing things in color. I think my mom told me that. I haven't really looked it up, but that's really what it was. Thailand for me was just, it opened up my eyes to everything. I fell in love with every single aspect of the culture, everything. Mm-hmm. The people, the food, the scenery, the driving, the signs that I couldn't understand. Every single town, every single road, every single person. It was something else. Yeah.
So like, draw a comparison between like Thailand and Bali then. Mm. Like, if you loved that about Thailand, like, do you love the same sort of things about Bali?
I do love the culture here. I love the people. I love the food. Very similar. But I think, because I was in Thailand for so long and because I fell so hard for it, my heart is just belongs to Thailand.
Still there?
No, but I mean, I love, you know what? Ideally for me,
choose
the ideal situation. I couldn't. I mean, the ideal thing for me would be to have something there and have something here where I could just back and forth and run like a guest house there and a guest house here and just kind of. You can literally live the endless summer. I mean, we do live the endless summer, but you could live the endless summer because Thailand's rainy season is the high season here, and vice versa.
Just bounce back and forth.
Yeah, man.
Dude,
fucking
there's
beautiful.
a plan. What a good plan.
Yeah, but they're both beautiful, beautiful countries, beautiful, amazing, amazing people, amazing children, amazing cultures.
Yeah.
Really good.
See, I might have missed that side of Thailand. I mean, I went there once years ago, and I just went to that party island.
Pee-pee?
No,
Koh Phangan,
Copenhagen.
yeah.
And then the second time I was there for a couple of days as a stopover in Bangkok, and that was it. And
you're not going to get the
I can't judge it from
experience.
there, so I didn't really get
100%.
that authentic experience. But
Yeah.
so yeah, like, and it sounds like you had a really good social circle as well. And then I look at you here in Bali, like you have a really strong social circle here.
Yeah,
you
the
know?
people here mean a lot to me. 100%.
The when you say the people, like, you mean your group of friends.
My family here. You
call
included,
them,
Jade.
Thanks, bro. You call them. You regard them as family.
Yeah, 100%. Because I think when you travel and when you live as an expat, I guess you would call it, you don't have your family or friends that you've had growing up. So what happens is you get so close with these people so quickly, and they become like your family because they, everyone's away from them. It's like college. Everyone comes and they want to meet each other, right? And they're everybody wants to meet new people, and you just make these connections and you have these adventures that bring you so close, so quick. And that's why it makes it really difficult, which inevitably is going to happen at some point, saying goodbye. And that is the toughest part, I think, about being an expatriate, is saying goodbye to your family that whether it's a year, 2 years, 5 years, it doesn't matter. Because sometimes the really hard truth is that there's a good chance, unless they're from your part of the world, that you might not see them again.
Yeah,
it's a chance. You'll always stay in touch, and that sucks. And it really hurts when these people, and it never gets easier. It never gets easier.
It's funny. I've never thought of it like that, but I do feel it. I know my wife feels it much more than I do. But it's funny, like the way you described it. Then, like, how have you managed that then? That feeling, like you raised a good point. Like you'll stay in touch, but it's still not this. Like, how have you managed it over the years?
Well, I'm never good at goodbyes. I always try and make them as quick as possible, and see you later. I always say see you soon or see you later.
Yeah.
I never say goodbye. I hate it. I've always hated it even since I was a kid. That's just like one little gimmick. But I'm not on social media right now, but I'm sure I will get back on there. But social media is a big thing. Instagram, Facebook. I mean, you can basically you can watch kids grow up on Facebook, right? And Instagram.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's a big thing too. But just at least keeping the thought alive that you are going to see them in. I'll see you soon. I'll see you later. See you later. See you soon. See you next time.
It's tricky, man.
It's just because goodbyes suck. Never have been good with them, and everyone has their ways of dealing with it. But
yeah. So after Thailand, like, how did you get to Bali? How did you get the job in Bali?
Well, I had.
Why was Thailand done?
My school was making a big change, very big change, and it wasn't suiting me very well. And I couldn't really stay there, and it destroyed me. It was really bad. So I actually, I applied for other jobs, and I got my first job that I applied for, which was in Singapore at International School of Singapore. I was like an athletics director and PE teacher for K through 8 school. Sorry, the K through 8 portion of ISS. And I accepted it. It was a great package, and I'm like, great. Signed all the paperwork, went through the whole 9 yards, and then I was fucking miserable. I was like, spent the next few months just bitching and moaning about how I had to go to Singapore and had to leave Phuket, my home, for the last 5 years. And just putting out this energy, and everyone's like, it's a great job, you're going to do this. I'm like, fuck off, man. I'm like, I'm so miserable. And my family came to visit that spring, and I was telling my mom's like, you're going to love it, blah, blah. Next thing you fucking know, 2 months later, the height of international hiring season, bye-bye, over. I get an email. Sorry, Garrett, we can't continue your employment because you can't get a visa. I'm like, whoa, hold the phone. I just sat on my ass for the height of international hiring season, and you're going to tell me that I don't have a job. I'm like, you better appeal. She's like, yep, we're on it right now. We're appealing. Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, fuck. Well, fuck this. I was like kind of happy.
Your
I'm
agent.
like, yes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but what? There's not going to be anything now. And I always, looked at the Bali schools websites. Never anything was there for PE.
They had no
Never.
You had no real friends here.
No, nothing. But there was no openings. And I remember I came here like 5 years ago on holiday. I was standing on the shortcut, the Brawa shortcut, standing by myself, taking a picture of sunset. And I took my camera down, like looking at nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, nothing.
No, you can. It's fine.
And I was like, I got to live here one day.
Right.
And then years later, sure enough, I had literally just checked the website a few weeks back, and boom, this opening at Green School popped up. And I looked at that process. I'm like, there's no way in hell I'm getting hired for this. And ended up hitting it off, and it was great. And that was how I ended up in Bali. So that was it. It was meant to be.
And now you're on the other side of that experience.
Yeah.
Like, how would you summarize like your time at this new position?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. It's been
everything's got its challenges. There's no doubt.
Yeah, it's challenging.
I mean, every job in the world has its challenges.
Everything,
and there's no such thing as perfect.
Nothing, and it depends on where you want, what eggs you want to put or what basket you want to put your eggs in. Really, what's going to be more important to you? Is it more pay? Is it better experience? Is it location? And then you have the certain issues that you're going to have to deal with. And like you said, there's not a perfect school, and it's had its challenges. But I've also learned a lot about, not just about my teaching and about taking on a leadership role, if you will, but learning a ton about myself as a person and an educator. And those things I think are really, really important. And as much, stress and, things that I've been caused and the difficulties I've gone through, I have to really keep that in mind for sure.
You seem like a fairly resilient person. Do you feel like your level of resilience has increased over the years, especially recently?
Yeah, I think it's increased a bit, but I think just my self-awareness and being able to control myself a bit more has been more of an kind of that's been taking place a lot more as opposed to my resilience. I mean, sure, resilience has definitely gone up, but just being aware of myself and how I can control myself.
Yeah, I don't want to get too personal, but I believe that like every human needs to take ownership of that. Like you said, how to control myself. And again, it's this personal self-reflection, but also putting strategies in your life to manage. Like manage life. Like life is fucking stressful in numerous ways, whether it be your job, your relationship, your kids, riding scooters in the most crazy traffic you can ever imagine.
What kind of magic cards you're going to get for Friday?
Are your magic cards going to come up your way? Like, is that what you want?
Are they going to be able? Is the Gojek going to be able to deliver them on time?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Is the Gojek just going to fuck up the location?
Yeah, exactly. And then I'm not going to have my cards for F&M. Yeah, that's stressful.
You get Gojeks to deliver your magic cards.
Oh yeah, and Boss Burger.
What
too.
do you mean they need to? Actually, I could go a burger right now. Let's go check a burger.
Boss Burger is the best.
No, I'm on a health kick. Anyway, listen. Yeah, so why would you need a Gojek to deliver magic cards?
As far as in Denpasar, we like to buy new cards a lot.
You have to keep buying new cards?
No, not every time. Just when a new block comes out.
Do you have to get new cards because your other cards just magically disappear sometimes?
No, I see where you're going with that. But no, new editions come out. You want new cards, man.
Because I think there's a magician in my house.
There is.
There's someone in this house that makes all my shit disappear when I really need it.
Yeah, probably.
I think it's the cleaner. I think she's a magician.
It could be that. Yeah. Maybe it's Ibu Jade. You never know.
Yeah, like why are my undies?
Yeah. I think you get them.
Why is that there?
I think for the magic card thing, you should start calling it MTG because you're getting it mixed up with like actual like magic tricks and like all that stuff.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with that.
So it's not magic.
No, it's not like pull a rabbit out of a hat type of thing. It's like fantasy card game.
Well, come on, like okay, so you say magic, man. I'm thinking David Copperfield, man.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Mary Poppins.
Yeah, no, definitely not that. But I can see where the confusion would come.
Okay, so MTG.
Anyway,
what were we talking about? So I think we have a responsibility to manage that. Like, I mean, and if you can get through life without managing stress, managing life without any strategies. Like, the obvious ones are like meditation and exercise. Like everyone, like they're stress management strategies. Like if you're playing your Friday afternoon basketball, that's a stress management strategy.
Sure.
But then we live in Bali, so it's full of people who are experts in, yoga and energy healing and chakra this and
breath work that,
vegan that, and breath work and ice bath this and
Jesus,
let's not shower before the ice bath. I'm going to go straight from the sauna to the ice bath without washing off all that sweat.
It's the worst.
There's all those kinds of people, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of them.
I just felt anger come up in me.
I know, man.
I just pictured someone not showering after the sauna.
It's absolutely inconsiderate. Like, I just don't understand it. I really don't, man. And it ruins it. I want to say something, but I don't. I'm a people pleaser like you, We don't want to fucking make people feel uncomfortable. We want people to... I want to talk shit. I want to be like, listen, you just ruined my spa experience.
Dude, full tangent, but you were there that night. I was with... I think it was me, you and Lance, and we just got out of the sauna, had a shower, hopped in the ice bath. I'm in this one ice tub by myself, and we all watched that dude so sweaty, like as sweaty as a human could ever be, and just jumped in the same ice bath as me, sat right next to me like there was nothing wrong.
It's just sickening. It makes me sick. I was disappointed. I was so disappointed. Just defeated. I was defeated. I'm like, wow, man, I can't believe it. Yep.
Look, listen.
Sorry.
Listen, man. It's a cruel world we live in.
It's a rough life when
there's
you're
a lot of injustice. There's a lot of injustice. Like, someone fucks up my ice bath.
Yeah.
Anyway, listen. Let's get back to the... Yeah. So like, I'll be open. I put strategies in my life. Like I can't meditate because my brain just won't shut the fuck up. Yeah. But I do this thing called Wim Hof breathing. Yes, it's breath work. Yep. Where you hold your breath, and it really appealed to me because it's like, I'm meditating, but like, I'm holding my breath. Like, can you hold? Like doing, like I'm tough. Like I'm holding my breath. Like, can you do it?
It's badass.
And so I actually, I can hold my breath for around 3 minutes on average. And in that time though, man, I get this like crazy sense of peace in the mind and relaxation and just like the stress goes away. It's been one of the most profound things that's ever happened in my life.
That's incredible, man.
And this is like the longest I've ever taken to ask a question ever.
I love it, man.
My question to you is, what strategies do you put in place?
Yeah.
For self-management, self-care,
whacking off, a lot of whacking off and self-release. I'm just kidding. It's actually the opposite of that. I don't do that anymore. I'm too old.
It's such an American way to say that. You could have went, I'm like, the British might say, oh, I masturbate. Or, or Australians might go, oh, have a wank.
Have a wank. That's the best one. I love it. Have a wank or have a poo or have a shit. I love it.
Like a New Yorker thing to say. I was whacking off.
I love listening to Australians and British people do American accents. It's literally my favorite.
I love hearing Americans try to do Australian accents.
Oh, it's terrible. We are the worst. But at least I find that Australians and British people, when they can actually really do an American accent, whereas like a lot of Americans that try and pull off the Australian British accent to a British or Australian person are like, what the hell are you doing? Yeah. So I have to actually shout out to all the Aussies and British people who are amazing at.
Gotcha.
Anyways, you know what's funny? You mentioned that. I recently started reading this book. I think it was last year. I've told you about it. The Daily Stoic, and it's on Stoicism, something I never would have been into. And it's cool, man. It is you read a page a day, and it's basically a meditation, or I'll use that word meditation, or a thought of a Stoic philosopher. And then, or quote, and then it's explained below, and it's like kind of your goal for the day. And it is based on Stoic philosophy, like controlling your brain and basically focusing on the things that you can control and letting go of the things that you cannot. And it goes really deep into it. And that has been actually really a big help. So that's one of the strategies for sure.
Set a daily intention.
Yeah, it's really cool, man.
Dude, that's epic, man.
It's cool.
It's almost like, I think it's a nice way to end, bro.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's a good way.
Like, it's been epic.
Yeah.
It's been...
What are we at here?
Mate, it's been an hour and 35 minutes.
Damn.
How do you feel?
It's been fun, man.
How are you feeling? How's your throat feeling?
I'll tell you, I'm fine. At first, I was super, super nervous. I loosened up as, the time went on, and
You don't seem nervous at all.
I was at first. I feel like I was just trying to sound cool, and but I really, and as you know, I tend to ramble a lot and use weird words, and I feel like I didn't really do that too much, and I really learned a lot from this. This has been really cool. Like, it is kind of not like a therapy session, but it's really nice to just have a conversation in the way that you're guiding it, because
Thanks, bro.
It's not just a normal conversation. You know the things to talk about and to ask, and it really just makes you have really good conversation and good thoughts, for sure.
I agree. And I do think the microphones changed the context. I mean, one of my past guests said, oh, man, these things are like honesty sticks.
It's true. I feel that way.
Because, like, you're not just like, if you and I were just having a chat, like, you're not really thinking about what you're about to say. But with these things, like, I guess in the back of your mind, you're like, well, it's going to go on record. Like,
right.
And you do start to think a little bit more about what you say.
Yeah.
My question to you is, do you think that would benefit you in your everyday life if you thought a bit more about what you were going to say when you talk to people? And could we all do that? Could we maybe just...
I think there's a way to do
think before we speak.
I think what you just said about the microphones, I really feel that. I've never felt this way before. I've spoken into microphones many times, but having a conversation like this with headphones on I do feel that 100%. I think the daily life thing, I think that's a much more, I think that's more difficult, something harder to tackle. I mean, and for me at this point in my life, I don't know if it has to do with distractions or dehydration or whatever. I have a really hard time focusing on what I'm saying, and whether it be in a lesson or in a conversation. I've been able to be really focused with you tonight, and I think that's why I'm having an easier time and feeling more comfortable. But sure, maybe it has to do with green school with a lot of things going on, but I do find myself very distracted.
Yeah, and like, as teachers, you are effectively public speaking on a daily basis.
Yeah.
You are. And you in particular, you actually are speaking to the whole community on a regular basis as the manager and coordinator of a whole school sporting program,
right, that
then is actually fed into the whole island sporting program.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a big responsibility, and you are required to speak publicly often. And you were just saying then that you're finding that challenging because of all the distractions around you.
I think it's distractions around me.
Like,
I think.
Well, can you be more explicit?
Something I'm trying. This is something that I've been really trying to wrap my head around for the last, since it's been happening, I guess like the last couple of years. And I'm just wondering, I'm like, what I'm always come back to? I'm like, gosh, am I losing my mind? Am I losing my sense of speech? Am I becoming a shit teacher? Is that what's happening? Because I remember I used to give really good lessons. I used to deliver really good programs.
Dude,
and it's starting to make me question my teaching ability. And I'm like, okay, hold on. There's no fucking way this is possible, that I'm digressing Sure, my surfing digresses and my golf game digresses. But not my teaching. Come on, I do this all day, every day. And then I started trying to think about all these things. Like the dehydration thing is kind of which sounds stupid, but I think I actually notice a difference. If I'm not hydrated enough, I have a hard time putting two words together. If there's a lot going on throughout the day, which there is when you have to run, there's a lot going on for all of us. That is tough. I can actually be in a conversation with someone and be thinking about something completely different. It's almost like when I read sometimes. I can read a full page and I'll have to read it 20 times in a row because I'll be reading, but I'll be thinking about everything else that's going on but in that page. And I find it also because green school is a place where there's a lot of stimulation going on. Or stimuli or whatever, overstimulus, whatever the hell the word is I'm looking for. Oh, look, it's happening right now. Maybe I'm fucking dehydrated.
You probably are because it's so hot, man.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah,
and I agree. Like, I do 100% agree. Working in this climate is hard, and then in a place that is it's outdoors.
There's
that's
another
walls.
thing.
You're constantly outdoors, even when you're inside.
Yep, and you're constantly sweating, moving.
Constantly sweating, and then, it's quite confined in a lot of ways. There's a lot of background noise.
Yeah.
And going back to the hydration thing, I've started taking really serious. Like, so I'm really monitoring the water I'm drinking, and I've actually started adding a little bit of Himalayan pink rock salt to my water, and that's made a big difference because it helps your body retain it.
Yes.
But the last thing I'll say is with your brain, and you were mentioning that. I don't know if you're aware of this, but I mean, if you're problem solving and on your thinking on your feet constantly, like your brain is a muscle, and did you know that it uses approximately 20? It's one organ in your body. It uses 20% of all of your energy in a day. So all of your energy sources. So it needs 20% of all of your energy sources to be able to function and maintain and do what it needs to do in a day.
Makes sense.
And that's a lot, considering it's just one organ. It's taking up a lot.
Yeah.
You know, so it's. I mean, that's why, without sound like I'm preaching, that's why like hydration and nutrition are just so important. They link to mood. They link to
everything,
productivity, thinking. And it's not just about giving you energy. They link to emotions as well. So
100%.
I don't know. Yeah. It's something to think about.
Yeah, exactly.
But don't think about it too much.
No, I don't want to. I want to
burn more energy.
Yeah, I was going to say I want to keep that 20% where it is. I don't want it to be a 22 or 25.
Yeah, and that's why I like taking some time out through the day just to stop and lay down for 5-10 minutes makes a huge difference to me.
Yeah, it's important. It's important for sure.
Dude, you're important. And now listen, man.
What do we got?
It's been an hour and 42 minutes now.
Love it.
Is there anything else you want to say? Is there something you want to end on, brother?
Oh man, you know, I've heard you ask that in your other interviews, and I was thinking, what the hell would I say if you asked me that question? And I actually forgot to think about it. But what I would end on is another big thing, like I think a daily practice that I meant to chat about before was being grateful and gratefulness. And
good one.
You know, it's something that has made me feel better, obviously, over the course of the last couple of years. I'll try and, let's say, for example, I'm in the surf and the sun's setting. I'll try and use that as an environment to stop, thank my angels, thank the, whatever energy's going on up there. And now would be a good time to do that. So I'm feeling pretty grateful for, my life right now, my family, my friends, and, you for having me on this podcast, obviously. But what a better time to, do gratefulness.
Dude, I'm stoked, man.
Yeah.
Now, listen, a new thing I'm doing with the podcast is that I request that every guest that comes, they have to come with a cause.
Yes.
So what cause have you come with today? What are you going to advocate and support?
Yeah, so it seemed, from what you had said before, it should be like a charity or some sort of group or whatever the case may be. And I was just, kind of trying to think. And the closest kind of group that I've worked with was actually in Thailand when I played rugby for 5 years. We linked up with an organization called the Asia Center Foundation. And it's based in Phuket, and it helps kids with education, healthcare, and kids in need. And it's a volunteer organization, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful organization. And I was like, you know what better one to advocate for than that?
Close
so
to
the
your heart.
Asia Center Foundation, it's in Phuket.
Dude, that's amazing,
Helps
man.
these beautiful, beautiful children that have gone through a lot get some education and some tools that are going to help them kind of, get through some things.
That's right. I love it.
Yeah.
Nice, man. So, that's asiacenterfoundation.org, and that link will be on Garrett's episode show notes, which can be found via the terriblehabittalks.com website, which will then, if you can actually choose the platform you'd like to listen to the episode on, whether it be iTunes, Spotify, Buzzsprout, or Stitcher, or there's actually a player in the website, and you can listen directly on the website if you like. And I just love it that you've chosen that, because like I know, like you even said it tonight that like Thailand meant so much to you, and it's for me, like I just want to give a broad and eclectic and diverse range of ways people might want to help. I'm always astounded by like when there's a natural disaster, how much people want to come out and be charitable and give. Yeah. But then I think, well, why does it have to take that?
What a great
why does it have
idea.
to take a natural disaster? So I'm like, well, I just want to create a database of causes that people can identify with. So not everyone's going to identify with that Thailand, but there might be a bunch of people that go, hey, yeah, look, I feel the same about that, Thailand, and I want to give some support there.
Yeah. Great idea.
You can find it on there,
awareness.
And I'm actually in the process of, like, from all the past guests, they're still filtering in. I actually put the page up on the website. It's called the Activate Advocate page, and it's got every single guest and the charity that they support. But I've actually taken it down because I just want to make sure I've got it really tight. I'm waiting for a few other people to put their charities forward. So, yeah.
It's awesome, man. What a great way to raise awareness, man.
Thanks, man.
I think you nailed it on the head. Like, why do you have to wait for something bad to happen to help, you know?
Yeah, because...
It's important.
Yeah, like there's, just got to give, homie. And
Gotta give.
Speaking of giving, so, I'm a small podcast. I'm a one-man show, okay? And
For now.
And if you look at the whiteboard behind me, because you're at my house at the moment, I've got a whiteboard dedicated to things I've got to do for the podcast and weekly.
It's brilliant, man.
What I'm catching up on. And, I've had a whole bunch of goals, and one of them was to get the website off the ground, which took a lot of work.
Yeah, I can imagine, man.
Did it all through my Christmas break. I was working on that. Not on and off, like little bits and pieces. But one of my big things is I want to give every guest a present, okay? And... yeah, like I want to give T-shirts and hoodies and stuff, but I'm not quite there yet. Although T-shirts and hoodies can be bought on the website via the online shop at terriblehappytalks.com. But I'm giving everyone a sticker. Now, you're extra special today because this is episode 40, brother.
Wow, 40.
You'll be episode 40. It's I feel like every time I get to a round number, it's a huge
milestone, man.
Man.
It's a milestone. That's awesome. I'm honored.
I never thought like I'd get to 40. And originally I set a goal, and I still got that goal, that I just want to do 52 episodes, and that's one episode a week for a whole year.
Yeah.
So 40 means I've only got 12 to go, and then I'm out, homie.
Well, I don't know if you should be out. I think maybe like we were talking about the other day, the universe will show you the way, and we'll see what happens, man, because I think you got a real knack for this. And if it means anything, you're my second favorite podcast other than...
Who's the first one?
Joe Rogan. I mean, come on.
Joey Rogues?
Yeah, Joe Rogie. Who knows? Maybe I'm going to be listening to THT on Joe Rogie one of these days, man.
I've got a serious question for you, though.
Yeah.
What do you like about Joe Rogan?
You know something? Nothing in particular. I just started listening to podcasts like a year ago, and our mutual friend Lance got me into the Joe Rogan. It's a popular one, blah, blah, blah. I love the way he talks. I love the way... it actually feels very similar to you. It's very relaxed, and he seems like he knows what he's doing. He's actually super knowledgeable, too, and he has some really good guests. I don't really pay attention to the fight ones, but he's got some really good... like the debunk... of the
with Chris Kresser,
yes,
scientific
of the debunk of the brilliant.
He debunked that movie called the
Game Changer,
Game
Changers, which I love. Which obviously I know. I get it. I heard about the what was it? The Joubert episode where we.
But don't you reckon he did it with such grace? Like he
amazing.
He did it just purely on the facts. He's like, listen,
yeah. And
this is a guy that has dedicated his life to scientific nutrition.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, vegans.
Sorry, and the thing is that his argument was that, like you said, everyone's body is different. And never once did he put down veganism or vegetarianism because he was a vegan and vegetarian. He was all different types of vegan and vegetarian. Yeah. And that episode was great, but also I love the scientists he has on there, and I love the Forrest Galante episodes, or Gallant, whatever his name is, the wildlife experts. Great, really good stuff. Sorry.
But you know what he said at the end of that? He said, like, he feels that the best argument vegans have, and it's a great argument, is don't eat meat for ethical reasons. That is a great argument. Just stick with that for now until the other things fall in place.
So
and I know there is a lot of research, he goes, but it's just a great argument. Like, if you don't eat meat for ethical reasons, that is the best reason not to eat meat or meat products.
Yeah.
And I just went, yeah, dude. And I really respect people. I really respect vegans for that.
Yeah.
100%.
Same. Yeah, same.
You know?
No one wants their stuff pushed on them. You know, no one wants anything pushed on them. Be passionate, fine, but have some science behind it, and respect everyone's opinion. You know, just respect that everyone can have their own thing, you know?
Totally,
Let it be.
Yeah, let it be. And like like you said, if you're not respecting other people's opinion, we don't have to agree with everyone. I think people think that you have to agree to respect them. But it's a tricky
No.
one. But listen, we're going off and again.
Yeah,
So
sorry.
you're getting this sticker, and this sticker is the THT Circle logo sticker.
I love it.
And I only give these to people that have been guests on the show. So you're
Beauty.
now a THT alumni. So if you see someone else with this sticker, it means they've been on the show. If you see someone who has this sticker and you know hasn't been on the show, you let me know.
I'm going to report them. I saw one on Kylie
words.
Little's computer.
Yeah,
Shout out to
she's got
Kylie
one.
Little. She's great.
Kylie Little.
Yeah, brilliant.
She speaks like, I mean, you speak well too, but gosh, she speaks well.
Oh, I have to. I don't think I speak well. Her episode, like, she spoke so eloquently, and like her, I was telling you, her voice and the sound. That's for the later episodes. I mean, she was brilliant. I really, really enjoyed that episode. 100% was really good.
Same, bro. So there's your
Cool.
sticker.
Awesome.
Stick it wisely.
Thanks, man. I'm gonna put it on my computer.
You know what? Because we're around the same size, although you're, let's face it.
Fatter.
No, like I was going to say, my biceps are way bigger, but I don't want to talk about it.
Yes, of course. You're more shredded.
I don't want to put you down. Okay. I might have a T-shirt for you. I've got all my sample T-shirts here in stock.
Don't mess around.
But we
Don't
can
play
go and
with
try
my
one.
emotions.
But that's what I'm working towards. I want to give I've got some. I want to give some gifts, something
awesome,
to take
man.
away from it. But
It's amazing.
yeah, dude, I've loved this, man. I feel like I could talk all night, but
Me too. But I mean,
it's getting
listen.
on,
Some people have kids. They got to put them in bed. And
dude.
some people got Netflix to watch.
Dude, don't
and,
jump into that decision.
No.
Just take it easy. Right? I love them.
Oh, they're the best.
I
I
do,
love them
of course,
too.
of
Man.
course I love them.
Super cute, man. They're great.
Yeah.
But listen, thank you for having me on. I'm super honored that you asked me to be on here, and
Right,
I hope it's been a good experience for you because it's been actually unforgettable for me.
Dude,
So,
I'm so
for sure.
stoked you're episode 40. I can't believe it.
What an achievement, man!
40.
For you,
When I
man. That
started,
is
I was
so
like,
cool.
I remember thinking, oh, this is bullshit. I'm
Dude,
not
you're
doing
so
this
good
anymore.
at it. You
Thanks,
got to
brother.
keep it rolling.
High
Thanks,
five,
buddy.
man.
High five.
Legend, dude. Love your work.
I love your work. Thank you very much.
Yep.